incidents. One is on March 2021, which is the SUKE highway crane topple. All right, the crane topple, and they have a few people got accident and some people even died. Okay, in May 2021, we also see a huge accident happen in LRT, okay, which injured 213 people. These are incidents that happen daily in our life. Okay, we see it's either with commercial vehicle or public vehicle or any other accidents in public area. We see these kind of things happen. But do we know what are the things that need to be done? Okay, so I also want to share one more incident that happened in Malaysia. Very lucky case. Okay, basically a father of four. Basically, you look at this car, you also like, don't know, maybe habis already, right? But surprisingly, this person managed to come out without scratch. Basically, he survived even after hit by a lorry. Okay, so this kind of incident is lucky for him. He don't have to do any claim. But in case if you have to do any claim or we want to learn more about it, I would like to invite our speaker today. Basically, Mr. Sashpal is practiced as a litigation and a corporate lawyer and handled various high-profile and complex litigation cases involving injunction and disputes, not only in Malaysia, also internationally. So we have a very learned person and we have a very experienced person going to share with us about personal injury claim. Okay, with that, I would like to invite Mr. Sashpal.
Thank you to MCM. Me and Max, basically, we go back a long way. I've been with MCM from the start, 2012, old friends. So he was giving me the idea that I agree, knowledge is power. You know, it's more about educating people what they should do, what they should not do. That's why I came up with this idea of this handbook series. This is the first one. We're starting with accidents. It's more like a short knowledge-based handbook. So it's compressed, and so when something happens, you won't go scrambling around looking for someone to ask questions, or you won't be lost. I have an emotional attachment to accident cases. My best friend, a very close friend of mine, died in an accident a few years ago. He was traveling from KL to Johor Bahru, and as he was coming out from the rest place, there was a biawak crossing the road. Okay, as the biawak was crossing the road, he jammed his brakes. What happened? A lorry slammed him from the back. His car caught fire, and he died. And the sad thing is that he just got married 1 week prior to the accident. You know, and it's things like that. So I spoke to the father, and the father is like, what do I do? Who do I sue? What can I do? What are my rights? I've really lost my son. Do I just forget everything? It's very emotional, these kind of things. So that is where I feel, you see, accidents, whether we like it or not, it might happen. And Malaysia has one of the highest accident rates in the world. Unfortunately, bad roads and this and that. So this is sort of like a handbook. I hope that will help you all. It does not answer all the questions, but I try to compress it as much as possible. All right. So, yes?
Allow me to interrupt. You off your light, did it? Because we cannot see you.
No, my light is on.
Oh, okay, but it's dark. Okay, maybe there's a filter or something in front of your camera. No problem.
No, actually, there's nothing in front of my camera.
Okay. I think the camera is just dark. No problem. So you can go full screen and check. Carry on. No problem.
Oh, you can't see me, is it?
Yeah, I can see you, but it's very dark. As if like you off the switch and talking. You can see the reflection in your specs. That's all.
My God.
No problem.
So do I carry on?
Yeah, carry on. You can see your slides.
Yeah. Okay, so the law of negligence, that is where we will start. Basically, it's a very wide area, personal injury, because you have many types of claims. The one which I'm covering today is only injury to your body, where you fracture your hand, or you fracture a toe, or you get cuts, or you made an accident. For example, you are walking on the pavement, the side of the road, and you fall into a hole which was supposed to be maintained by the local council, but which was not. So you sue, because third-party insurance in Malaysia is compulsory, okay, for all vehicles. it's compulsory. It's an offense if you do not have third-party insurance cover. Even Singapore cars entering into Malaysia, so if a Singapore car knocks you, you can still sue him in Malaysia, because there's an agreement between Malaysia, Thailand, Singapore, Brunei, where you can claim against the insurance company in Singapore, even though the accident happened here. It's compulsory, all right? So, like what I was saying, there are many types of claims. The one which we'll be covering is the first one, bodily injury. Probably next, as what Max was saying, in events of deaths, like what happened to my friend, that we'll probably cover in the next event. Yeah.
And, you can off the camera better. You just off. Yeah, that'll be good. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So, then you have property damage, which is the most usual ones, damage to your car, which we are not covering today. That is the most common claim that you will see, property damage, because most of the time when you meet an accident, just your car is damaged, but you are not injured. But there are times where your car is damaged and you are also injured. So what do? Okay, that's where you have property damage claim and bodily injury claim. All right, then of course you have medical negligence, you have occupier's liability, where say example you visit a shop and there's water on the shop on the floor, and you slip and you fall and you break your back, you hurt your back, so can you sue? All kinds of types of claims, but we'll be focusing today only on bodily injury. All right, so that's what Suren pointed out just now. The most common ones, the recent ones that we have seen, that Myvi, I believe was a Myvi, where he miraculously escaped. Lucky for him, most of the time that sort of accidents, the injuries are pretty bad. So, for example, if unfortunately they die, who can claim? Can his wife sue? Can his child sue? All right, that will come under dependency claim. But where you're injured, all right, this is what you usually do. All right, first thing you need to do is lodge a police report. If you are unable to, or if you are in hospital, then usually a family member would lodge a police report on your behalf at the nearest traffic police station. And then what you do next is you need to compile all medical records, documents, bills, receipts, even ones that you might not think is important. Just keep it with you. Most of the time, I've actually encountered the situation. This person, he was not aware. You see, I met him and he said that he's going through hard times. I asked him why. He said, "Oh, my sister was involved in an accident a few years ago, and she has lost her legs. I was amputated, so we have to care for her, and she's only 25 years old. Nobody will marry her." So then I asked her, "So how much claim did you all get?" They said, "Oh, boleh file claim." He asked me, "Can we file a claim?" So I was like shocked. He was not even aware that. So I asked him, "How did the accident happen?" He's from somewhere in Pahang, some jangka in Pahang. And then I was talking to him, and then he was like, "Oh, she was a pillion rider on a motorcycle, and boyfriend was riding a motorcycle." So he said, "Oh, it was his fault, so she can't claim." I said, "No, she's a pillion. There's a very high chance that she can succeed in her claim, even though it is her boyfriend's fault." You see, so that's the thing. If you are uncertain, you should always check. Because knowledge is key. So if he would have gotten that claim, it would have made his life so much easier. They would have covered the medical expenses of the sister, buy wheelchairs for her, medication for the rest of her life, a nurse, all those things is important. You cannot, I cannot emphasize enough how important it is when bad times hit, that you are prepared for it, and it might just happen. So compile whatever receipts that you have, your income documents, and then of course you need to speak to a lawyer and explain what happened. And this is the usual example of cases. The ones we have, for example, say you are driving a car, all right, and you are driving straight, and another car comes out of a junction. He comes out of a junction and he collides into your car. And so you had your right of way. Most of it is the Road Transport Act, your law. All of us went to a driving school, so we know the law. Everybody should know. That's why you are driving your car. So you had a right of way. This car came out of the junction, collided with you. So our law is fault based. All right. So whose fault was it? It's his fault. So you were injured. So you will claim from his insurance company because his car has third-party insurance cover. You are the third party, so it covers you. It's compulsory to have third-party cover. That is the reason why it's compulsory to have third-party cover. It's not compulsory to have comprehensive insurance. It's okay if you don't have comprehensive insurance. If you don't care about yourself, the law says you don't care about yourself, you don't want to claim for your own car damage and all, is fine. But you must have third-party insurance because we need to protect others from you. A car is a weapon. We have to understand that a vehicle is a weapon. Like what happened, I don't want to comment too much in the case, when supposedly the lorry lost control and collided into the yellow, whatever might be, I think it was. It's a weapon. A lorry moving at that speed loses control. Can you imagine? At like the LRT incident, of course, then we have the what happened to MAS where the plane went down. Vehicles are weapons. We have to understand. All right. So we need third-party insurance. That's why it's so important. There are other types of claimants, pedestrians. You are crossing a road, for example, and you are knocked by a motorcycle. You might think that you don't have a claim. You will say, "Oh, I was crossing under overhead bridge, so it's my fault." Yeah, but the law is pretty subjective when it comes to liability. It's not very straightforward. I have a book, where they give hundreds of examples in different kinds of situations. What did the court decide? And you'll be surprised the court has decided in so many different ways. What you might think is obviously unclaimable, but you'll be surprised it is claimable. Because I know this because I'm also I've been the lawyer I represent insurance companies as well as claimants. So I've acted on both sides. You see, so I've defended insurance companies and I've sued insurance companies. So both ways, the law is very subjective. All right. So, and you have to remember this time limitation, very important. 6 years from date of accident, right? 6 years and 1 day, you cannot file a claim anymore because the law says it doesn't want you to sit on your rights. It gives you 6 days, 6 years, file your claim. You do not file your claim, you come to see me, you go and see any lawyer, 6 years and 1 day, 6 years, that's it. And 3 years if it's a claim for debt and if you're suing any government bodies. Very important to remember, time limitation. Also, I've done a case before, 5 years and 350 days, I think. It was 5 years, 350 days. We were just hitting that 6 years limit when I so happened to meet this person who was walking by the side of the road on the walkway, and he fell into a hole and badly injured. And so we managed to get a claim for him. We sued the local council because local councils also are insured. He's insured, public property is insured. They take public liability insurance, you see. So he sued, and it was just before the 6 years. 3 years. It was just before the 3 years. So you have to be careful with the time limit, all right? This handbook is comprehensive. I prepared this especially for all my clients and also for MCM. Later on, perhaps Max can share with you in a nutshell, all right? Bodily injury, this is what you claim. First, you have to see fault-based, like what I've given you the example just now, whose fault it was, okay? And does that car who collided into you, does he have third-party insurance? I know it's compulsory, but Malaysia boleh, some people still don't have third-party insurance. You'll be surprised. They don't have insurance at all. No road tax, no insurance. Very usual, very common. If no insurance, I'm sorry. You can sue him personally, but you can't do anything much with it because to enforce the judgment is difficult. Of course, you need your police reports, your medical reports, your employment documents. And this is what you'll be claiming for: your injuries, your loss of income, future income, your earning capacity, your medical costs, nursing care if you need, special needs, repair costs. The list is not exhaustive. It goes on and on. I've seen all kinds of claims. I've even seen cases of somebody claiming for a bionic leg. He wants a special bionic leg because he claims that he was an athlete. So he wants to go back to what he was. He said that you can't put for me a normal prosthetic leg. I need a bionic leg because I used to be a runner. you know. So the bionic leg is expensive, so he put it in his claim. He said, I deserve this. You know what I mean? And all right, like what I was saying, death, in events of death, we won't cover today. When you're injured, we need to know what are your injuries. All right, what are your injuries? And I've made this skeletal summation list of the injuries and how much you can claim. So for example, this is just a guide, all right? This is not cast in stone. It can be higher, it can be lower. For example, if you fracture your fibula, see, this is your fibula on your leg. So your claim will be between 12,000 to 14,500 for that one bone, the injury, all right? Not inclusive of your loss of earning, your medical bills and all that, just for that, the fracture of that bone, okay? For example, if you fracture your, let's see, a tooth, you fracture a tooth, okay, it's 3,000. And it's not necessarily fracture. Sometimes you chip your tooth, you know, then the amount is different. So this is just a general guide. The costs can go higher all over depending on how bad the injury is. This is all you need, you know. I've broken it down. You have your skeleton, and then you have your anatomy, you know. For example, removal of one kidney, removal of 2 kidneys, how much you claim, loss of consciousness. You say you pass out, you automatically get 6,000. Or if, for example, a collapsed lung, you know, 6 to 7 to 5,000. It also depends, because usually when you have organ injury, it's not just one, and sometimes the organ injury can lead to something else that leads to something else, you know. So then you add everything else, you know, you add it all, and then you see what is the final figure. And if, just say for example, see your fibula and tibia, they are on the same leg, you say on the same leg, and the fracture happened here, you break both, then of course the court won't give you full. There will be an overlap, all right? If there are overlaps of injuries, then there will be a reduction of, say, 10%. Okay, so this is a general guide of how much you can claim. For example, there's a blood clot in your eye, 3 to 4,000. Partial loss of hearing, 12 to 30,000. This list, I got it out of we have in the Bar Council website. It's there, but it's in very detailed format, in long explanation. You can go and read there as well. It's there in the Bar Council website. But what I did was I tried to simplify it as much as I can, because people generally don't like to read a lot of things. They like things in pictures and all, easy to see. You know, you got a 5-page handbook. You just look at it and that's it. You know the law. So that is why I summarize it in this manner. Okay. Then of course you have your checklist. Like what I said, you need your police documents. There might be some independent witnesses. Make sure you urge them to lodge police report as well if they are independent witnesses. Of course, you won't be able to because you are injured, but sometimes it's good to go and check back at the scene of the accident, or you know, if somebody would have witnessed it, did they see what happened, or if there are CCTVs there. The police usually does that, but thousands of accidents in Malaysia, so don't rely too much on their investigation. It's good to investigate on your own as well. You never know, there might be CCTV of a condominium which is pointing towards the road, you know, and you, of course, you can't access it, but you can tell the police, you know, then you help them in your investigation. They do a lot of work, the police, you know. They are so worked up with these accident claims, you know. Some of them, I've spoken to them in the past. 24 hours duty, it drags on to 48 hours, you know, without any sleep, because just so many accidents in Malaysia. For some reason, you know, when we are switching lanes, we don't give our signal. We tailgate, you know. When you see even Singapore drivers, no offense, my wife's Singaporean, but when they are in Singapore, very well behaved, but unfortunately, the moment they cross over, I don't know, even Malaysian drivers, we drive horribly in Malaysian roads, me as well, not as disciplined. When I go into Singapore, suddenly I become like a model citizen, you know. I give my signal every time I'm switching lanes, you know, I slow down, everything. But here is just, I really don't know what to say. It's the attitude of Malaysians. I always feel that the most one particular habit which is I find very annoying is not giving the signal. It's like Malaysians are expected to be mind readers, mind readers, because the car just inches towards you, but he doesn't give a signal. So you are wondering, does he want to come into my lane? Or is he just joking? What is he doing? And you just have to figure out, and somehow, like foreigners, when they come into Malaysia, when my relatives from Australia or what, they come here, right? They're like, you guys are mind readers, how do you know he's going to change lane? I say, yeah, because he like acha a little bit, so I know already. It's like, that's how it is. That's why we have such high accidents in Malaysia. It's the attitude, so, and I don't see that changing. It's going to remain the same because nobody's doing anything about it. There is no education going on the road safety, nothing, so we need to educate ourselves so we know if something happens, what do we do? For example, here, this example, Ali was riding a motorcycle. As he reached the traffic light, he noticed it was green, so he proceeded straight. Then suddenly he collided with a car. But then the car driver alleges the traffic light were green on his right of way. So, and Ali says, no, my lights, the lights on my right of way was green. And if there is no camera at the same traffic light, then what happens? Then what happens is the judge is going to look at it and he's going to say, sorry, I think it's both parties are to be blamed, because it's just impossible to decide. Sometimes we can cross-examine the witnesses. You can ask hundreds of questions, but they are so determined and so adamant that they are not at fault. So that's when it becomes the 50-50 case. What it means is that liability, fault, traffic light case, 50-50. All right. What it means is, for example, you fracture your tibia and fibula, and say you have some scars. Your claim, just say you were entitled, example, to 40,000. Your estimate then claim amount is divided by 2. So instead of 40,000, which you are entitled to get, because liability was equally to be shared, so you end up getting 20,000. That is what it means by 50-50 case. It can be 80-20, 70-30. It depends. There are so many formulas. I can go on and on. Like what I said, I've got hundreds of examples. Different situation, the different judge, or sometimes even the lower court judge might decide something else, and it goes on appeal. The high court might decide something else. If it goes up to the court of appeal, they might decide something else. For example, I did a case before where this guy was parked on the emergency lane, and he's saying that, yeah, there was an emergency, and I was representing the insurance company at that time, and so the lorry was parked on the emergency lane, and then this motorcyclist came and he collided the rear of the lorry. So during I was representing the insurance company, right? So I'm supposed to find fault at the motorcyclist. So I asked him, did you see the lorry parked there from a distance? He said, yes. I said, did you see there were hazard lights on? He said, no. I said, but was there a cone at the back? Yes. Then why did you still collide? That means you're not paying attention on the road. You're not paying attention. He was like, no, because the weather, it was not so clear. So I was uncertain. Was he parked? Was he not parked? I said, yes, but you saw the cone. Yes, I saw the cone. So that means you are also at fault because you saw the cone. There was warning. Alright. Yet you collided into him. It's not like he opened his door and you suddenly collided. You saw it from a distance and still you collided into his lorry. But at the same time, you see, you might think that, oh, the motorcyclist is at fault. But you see, then the judge will then determine, why did the lorry park there? Because the lorry is not supposed to be there in the first place. Was it a real emergency? Or did he just stop to answer his phone? Or give his baby milk or something? What? Was his lorry spoiled? What? Sometimes maybe sleeping in his lorry? So he's not supposed to be there in the first place. So he was there. So he's obviously at fault. So who is at fault? So in that case, the court said that the lorry driver is probably 80% at fault. The motorcyclist is 20% at fault. Because he didn't keep a lookout. So some fault is on him as well. So you see, it's not the clear-cut. The law is not clear-cut. There's so many variables. All right. I did another case before. there was some post-traumatic stress disorder. Post-traumatic stress disorder. This driver, he was driving his car. Usually his wife always, in his BMW, his wife always sits with him in the front passenger seat. So happened on that day, his wife did not sit with him on the front passenger seat. So as he was driving, every day the wife sits on him on the front passenger seat, every day. So happened that he was driving his, I think it was a BMW, and a long pole fell off a lorry which was in front of him and completely crushed the front passenger seat side of the car, but he didn't have a single scratch on him, not a single scratch. Miraculously, nothing happened, but one side of his car, total loss. It's like the car just cut into two. No? So he was very traumatized, and he actually went to the psychiatric unit, and he couldn't drive his car anymore because he got PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, and because he said my wife would have died, if she was there. And he did eventually get the claim because there was clear enough evidence that he was suffering from PTSD. All right. So I will start wrapping up. This is all you need, guys. This is all you need. Your handbook. Very basic. What happened? What types of claimants? The law, Donahue, Stevenson. It started from a case of a snail in a bottle, and we end up from snail in a bottle. We end up with so what do lawyers do? How can we help? There's so many things that you need advice on, but you keep this handbook is useful in the sense that your basic knowledge, so basically if something happens, what can you do, what do you need, because it's amazing people still don't know that they actually can file a claim. And it's not that we want to punish insurance companies or what, but it's our right, our right to, because I represent insurance companies as well. So a bulk of your losses come from paying out claims, which is a lot. So for me, is education is key. I feel road safety rules need to be improved, need to be enforced. Education, we need to educate people. You come out of driving school and that's it. You just be a tyco on the road. So it's like in Johor, very sad. The cyclists, young boys riding motorcycle, riding the bicycle middle of the night, they collided in with the car. I don't know what happened to that matter, but things like that happen, So do the families actually know what to do? Did they file a civil claim? Do they know they can file a civil claim? I do not know. But I hope that by this session that we have, that I've helped you all a little bit, not a lot, just a little bit, to know on what you should do, what are your rights if you happen to meet with an accident. All right. And okay, so I think I'm good. Suren?
All right, thank you for your sharing.